Hey guys, how's it going? It's Kyle here with another Guardian Tales video, and in today's video we're breaking down my favorite top 5 unique characters. But to do this, I'm bringing in a special guest. Here we got him right here. We got GachaJay here. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey guys, I'm GachaJay. I cover a very variety of gacha news analysis and reviews. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. This is gonna be great.
Oh yeah. So in this video, we both got 5 different lists on underrated 2-star characters here in Guardian Tales. So I'm going to give my list. Be sure to check out his channel to see his list, and we go over those characters on his channel separately. So kicking off this list, let's just get right into it. Well, but before we do that, I do want to say there is a couple characters we're going to exclude from this list because so many people just know that they're good characters. It's just kind of a boring list if we still had these characters available. So the first one is going to be Akiyuki here, and I think she's pretty well known as a very good 2-star unit.
Yeah, she hits way too hard to be a 2-star. She's probably the strongest of all the 2-stars when it comes to critical damage, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. And so that's one kind of a boring pick if we still had that. And then another one would be Craig, because he's just such a widely known good tank in the game. So that's why we want to exclude him as well, because pretty much I think there's a lot of good advice out there already pointing you in the direction of those 2 characters.
Fact.
Cool. Fact. Okay. So to kick off this list, the first character underappreciated is going to be, here, let me pull her up here, is Oliveira. So yeah, so this character here, so I've been doing a lot of rating, and this is considered to be one of the probably one of the best DPSers that you can get on a team here in rating, especially for a 2-star. So that's why I have her on here. My DPS goes up significantly with this character. I pair her in my Garam teams. She works in Bari teams. So essentially any team with ranged, you're going to be able to put her in, and she's going to do a ton of damage. Not many times do I put her as my main damage dealer because her weapon skill is very clunky and slow, but she brings a ton of DPS to the table for you and has a great chain skill as well. So that's why she's making the list. What do you have to say about Oliveira? What do you think about the pick?
Oh, her base stats are crazy good for a DPS type of unit. The basket, well, it's not really a basket, right? It's a grenade launcher that looks like a basket, is a pretty strong negative for her, just because of, like you said, those animations are really hard to get going. But in PvP or PvE content, she's really shining, especially if there's like a lot of mobs that you got to break through. And like you said, doing the raids would really make her stand out. She, in my opinion, she's the 4th strongest DPS in the game when you're coming down purely to the actual DPS output. I actually have her as the 4th in my might statistics. So yeah, really good pick there.
Badass. Okay, awesome. So, and then lastly, she does have a really good party skill too of the range percentage increase. I really like those kind of party skills. They seem to really add to DPS significantly. I don't. You're the math guy, so correct me if I'm wrong here when it comes to the party skills. But I really like range skill increase. I really like crit damage or crit rate increase, and out of those 3, then lastly the elemental boost. Those are the ones I really look for, like water damage increase, range increase, and then lastly the crit rate. But not in particular any order, but if I had to choose one that I would pick the most, it'd probably be the range increase.
Yeah, I think the game does a really good job of balancing that around how unique it makes it. So if you look at like a party buff of defense versus melee defense, the melee defensive party buffs are always higher than like normal defensive. So if you're getting something that's like more and more unique and you build a build around it, it is, like you said, it's definitely builder. The only thing that makes me hesitant with crit is a lot of these characters have really, really low crit. So when you're upping their crit through party buffs, sometimes it's actually not doing a whole bunch for them. So that's the only negative I can think for that. But yeah, you're right on the money when it comes to picking out party buffs.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, moving on, next characters on this list is going to be potentially, now that we just, talked about crit, maybe controversial on this list, but we're going to go Aisha here. So I really like this character. I think she's dope. One thing I don't like about her is gonna be her party buff. It's HP, not like damage focused, because so much of her kit is damage based. But I really like her. Here, where is it? It's gonna be. She has her normal attack increases nearby party members' attack by 30%. That's awesome. Then she has and then her chain skill is the one that increases all party members' attack by 50% for 8 seconds. Then lastly, on her weapon skill, when she lands a critical hit, all party members' critical hit chance increases by 2 times for 3 seconds, 8-second cooldown time. So a really good support for increasing DPS in kind of a very unique ways that not many characters, if any characters at all, have this amount of stat boosting for the rest of your team. I like her a lot. I think she's dope. One thing I do want to mention, because you know how you're talking about how everyone has low crit rate, she's very unique where when you actually max limit break her weapon, most people gain like 10% attack, like Ogma, for example, gets 10% defense. She's one of the few people, if the only one, I haven't really checked, she gets 10% extra crit rate on her weapon. So that's one thing. She synergizes super well with crit rate. So her gaining that boost, I think she's one of the characters that if you actually max limit break her weapon, is going to be a massive boost to how much better she's going to be for the team. That's why she makes my list. What do you have to say about Aisha here?
I think you're dead on the money with all of that, man. That was great analysis. I think she is incredibly tanky, even though she is an attack focused, or I guess you could even say like utility focused with all the crit percentage and stuff like that. Her getting to use that shield is actually super helpful for her. And even though she is DPS oriented, she actually clocks like 24th overall for me in terms of her DPS output, which is basically dead in the middle for a tank that's really, really strong. And she's actually one slot ahead of someone like Dolph, who people think of as like this really late game DPS carry. She actually does more damage over time than Dolph does, which is crazy to me.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, everything you said to me is right.
Oh, well, okay, awesome. Let's go. I'm glad the numbers support it. So that's dope. And the one thing I thought was kind of funny about her is, I don't know if she's actually worth to use in the main slot, but she has a 560% weapon skill. I just thought that was funny, and I haven't seen this percentage on a weapon skill like even close to it. So the animation is like hilariously long, and it's like a beam that like it charges up and like shoots down. It does like no damage, and then it ramps up to a ton of damage. So it's I kept like missing most of the damage in like raids and early on. So. But I just thought that percentage, that modifier is by far the biggest modifier I've seen. Little on a chain skill, let alone a weapon skill. It's like double the percentage I've seen on anything. So I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, I actually thought of the same thing a while back, because when I was breaking down all of the different statistics, I was trying to figure out what role weapon skills play into it. And I figured out basically that, like what you already talked about here, that's kind of more of how long the animation is than anything else. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, animation. I feel like the biggest hidden DPS in this game is animations, where you can have all the numbers or whatever, but if you don't actually count how quickly people attack, how quickly the animations go through on the chain skill and the weapon skill, like it doesn't. It's still good information, but it doesn't say the whole story.
Yeah, 100%. That's why Beth is actually so strong, despite the numbers saying she's not, or like on the surface, it looks like she wouldn't be that strong, but she just hits so fast.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Yeah, it's cool that you mention it, because it's, when you look at her stats, she seems very, middle of the road. Like nothing jumps out at you. Like Garum, it's like, oh, okay, he has like 1,000 base attack. You're like, okay, that's crazy. But with Beth, it's just a typical like bruiser style character. And then for her to be hitting so hard, I was figuring it was like part of the passive too, but that makes a lot of sense. So, okay.
Yeah, her animation's crazy.
Yeah. So moving on, we got number 3 on the list. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna go with Grimmery, and then these are in no particular order, by the way. I just wanted, this is just the order I'm picking them, but I'm gonna go with Grimmery here, and the big thing I like with 2-star characters, especially, or just characters in general, I like on their auto attacks, I like defense down. So throws a mysterious flask that damages enemies and reduces enemies' defense by 20% for 5 seconds. Then also has on the chain skill, throws a flask that causes a massive explosion that inflicts 200% damage and reduces attack by 30%. That's kind of nice. But the reason why that matters is because for each hit on enemy afflicted with attack decrease effect, inflicts additional 30% damage. So I think a very, very simple kit, but very good when it comes to just raw damage output. And then has a skill attack increase on the party buff. I would just say a very overall solid character that seems to be splashed in a lot of teams when it comes to if you're looking for just pure DPS.
Yeah, my love for the character is very well known. She would have been number 1 on my list if I didn't talk about her so much already. There's something about her curiosity solver that when it came out just really changed the game with her. And I think for like newer players, if they actually can get that weapon, she would actually be someone that you should like build your entire team around and actually use her because she's pretty nuts.
Oh, that's dope. Because this banner right now, this Guardian Pass, if you're willing to spend, this one actually has Grimmery's weapon on it, so you can guarantee get it for $8. So, because I feel like a lot of 2-stars, it's like you're like, hey, this is a really good character with a caveat, like, for a 2-star. Whereas I feel like a lot of these characters on this list, I legitimately use as good characters that other 3-stars don't really fill this role out. And I would say she, especially what you're saying, like you would be willing to build your entire like team around her, especially in the beginning of the game. I think just speaks to how good the character is.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so that one's a pretty quick one. Let's go to the next one here, and very similar character. Maybe this is kind of cheating the list a little bit, but I'm gonna go with Coco. And Coco, very similar. The auto attack fires red shards, damage enemies, and reduces enemies' defense by 20%. And then has a 225% damage chain skill. And then lastly, icicle shooters damage increased by 25% of weapon skill damage. So and then has a very similar party skill, or the exact same party skill of the skill attack increase. So very similar character. What do you think about Coco?
Oh man, I don't know if you're aware, but Coco is a very controversial character to bring up because of what Clint Wolf did to Inari. I'm still trying to get some vengeance for Clint on that whole take.
My bad. I meant to put. No, I'm just kidding. I because like when he made that video, I didn't play the game. I didn't understand it, so I was like, oh, just like Coco, okay, yeah. And then now I'm kind of. So do you have anything to say about that whole thing? Like, what is your take on his take on how Coco is identical to Nari?
Oh, so that was actually probably the first time that me and Clint truly interacted past just like saying hello type of thing. But because the community was like linking me his as a rebuttal to my video because I was saying Nari is OP and he was saying, nah, it's just kind of like a slightly better Coco. But overall, I mean, he's not wrong, especially if you pair the two together. It gets kind of nutty, the type of damage or defense trade you can get through. If you don't have Nari, you can definitely throw Coco in these compositions and she can pop off.
Yeah, I can see where he was going on paper. Like, they're very similar. The audio attacks are very similar. But, like, when in game, like, that kind of goes back to the animations. It's like Nari felt so much cleaner to play. Like, because Nari was actually, like, my first character I really invested in. So, because I ended up, when I first started playing, I got Arabelle and did most of the campaign there, and then I just went all in on Nari after I pulled her. And even if like even if her damage is like technically like lower and stuff, she just felt so clean to play in arena. It just made arena so much easier with the
100%. Yeah, it's actually kind of weird because Nari's animation is really bad if you were to just stand still and your opponent stands still. It's just all the movement that comes into this game that makes it so well. Yeah. But if both sides are actually standing still, Coco's animation does more damage than Nari's in terms of like comparing how much the animation adds to the base statistic.
Oh, interesting.
So that just goes to show how much of a hidden statistic movement speed is in this game that they just do not tell you.
Okay. Yeah, like that's another layer to the you gotta test it. You gotta test it to make sure it, get the full picture here. Okay. So lastly, last drum roll, last character we got for the list is here. Let me get rid of Coco. I'm gonna put Karina. And yeah, I was thinking I could have put like the two DPS characters in Rachel and I don't know how to pronounce her name, the Earth DPS character. But I'm going to put Karina because I actually got a lot more use out of Karina than I thought, especially with the Dark Tower that came through. She actually came up pretty clutch. I like her healing solid. To be honest, I don't know how her healing's calculated. I don't know if it's through damage, if it's through healing percentage increases. Maybe you can shed some light on that. But I just like that she's a solid character. She has a good chain skill. She has a really nice special ability where when she dies, she just comes right back up. And it's not like a one-time thing. It's just a 60-second cooldown, so you can rely on it through like as you're going through hard content. And then lastly, she has the dark skill increase, and so she's going to be increasing the damage of like Beth. Like the big thing for me is like I was mainly using Beth, and then she was just a good support unit that helped carry me through the Dark Tower. So that's
heck yeah.
So thoughts on Karina? What do you think of my final pick here?
I think so. To me, Aoba was stronger all the way up until Beth was released because Earth was such a strong element by that point. Mm-hmm. And I think overall, you're right that Karina does it. She just plays better than someone like Aoba does because she's more focused on like she's kind of like the DPS variant of it in that she her healing does factor based off of the amount of damage she's doing. So by nature, she's doing more damage than the other healers. And so when you pair that with someone like Beth and like Lupina, I mean, Karina can really, really like be the glue piece in a dark team. And even if you're running like a rainbow team, if you're just looking for like a little bit more damage and like a little bit more sustain for someone like your future princess or like that, Karina could really come in clutch. So I think you're right there.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, that's going to be this list. Let me know down in the comments below what you guys think about this list. If there's anything we got wrong or right. Also, check out GachaJay's channel. We're going to be doing the same list, but it's going to be his list, and I'm going to be reacting to what he has to say about his list. So be sure to check that out. Any final words before we head on out of here?
Nah, dude, for someone that didn't dig into the math, man, you got quite the brain for the game.
Okay, well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
You knew a lot more about me before I got into this, so hey, kudos to you, man.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, and we out. Peace.